Syntax. What is syntax? We have talked a lot about syntax, but let's look at it in a bit more detail. In linguistics, syntax is the set of rules, principles, and processes that govern the structure of the sentence, and usually including word order. So, syntax is also used to refer to the study of such principles and processes. The goal of many syntacticians is to discover the syntactic rules common to all language, not one language but common to languages. Syntax also means sentence construction, how words group together to make phrases and sentences. We find a lot of words in a sentence, but what groups they form, right? They do not form without any logic. Some people use the term grammar means syntax. So generally, this term is used by certain people to mean syntax or to mean grammar. Most linguists follow the more recent practice whereby the grammar of a language includes all of its organizing principle, information about the sound system, phonology, about the form of words, morphology, how we adjust language according to context, right? And so on. Syntax is only one part of this grammar. So syntax does not mean whole of grammar, but one part of grammar. The term syntax is also used to mean the study of syntactic properties of languages. What are the syntactic properties of languages? In this sense, it is used in the same way as we use stylistics to mean the study of literary style, right? It's the way we use the study of literary style. So syntax, we use how the study of the arrangement of the words in a certain language. The scope of syntax study includes the classification of words, the order of words in phrases and sentences, the structure of phrases and sentences, and different sentences conjunctions that language use. So all these things are used under the very heading of syntax. One basic description about a language syntax is the sequence in which main things, subject, verb, and object are put into an order, right? So 85% of the languages in the world have SVO arrangement of words or sequence in their language. However, there are certain language in which SOV, subject, object, and verb comes in the last. Even in our language, this sequence goes: subject comes first, then object, and then verbs comes in the end of the sentence. But other possible sequence are some languages like Arabic starts with the verb, then the subject, and then the object, and some have other, which are very few. The last three are very rare, in which verb, object, and subject. That means that subject goes to the end. When we are talking about this arrangement, we mean that this is the syntax, this is the usual order of the sentence. However, sometime even in English, for style purpose, we change the places of these elements from first place to the end place. The subject goes to the end, verb comes first, etc. In most generative theories of syntax, these surface differences arise from a more complex clausal phrase structure, and each order may be compatible with multiple derivations. So, in generative theories of syntax, these differences, which are more complex clausal phrase structure, that how phrases are made, these differences are due to the structure of the phrases. So we look at these structures when we study sentence structures in detail. Usually we think of syntax as word order. However, syntax is also achieved in some languages such as Latin by inflectional case endings. That means that each word has a certain case ending that tells us that this word is a subject or verb or an object or any other. So it doesn't matter, especially languages like Latin, whether the subject comes first or the object comes first or the verbs come first. Wherever the elements are, they remain subject, verb, and object. A sentence could make no sense and still be correct from the syntax point of view as long as words are in their appropriate spots and agree with each other. For example, classical example of Noam Chomsky, who gave this sentence, colorless green ideas sleep furiously. So syntactically, this is a very correct sentence, but semantically, it is an absurd sentence that makes no sense. Similarly, in language such as English, the main device for showing the relationship among words is word order. The girl loves the boy. The subject is in initial position and the object follows the verb. But as we just said that it is not same with certain other languages. For example, if we change transposing them changes the meaning. So if we change subject with the object, it changes the meaning as well to some extent. Let's take this example of Latin language. The girl loves the boy. So Piola, Piorum, amat. So Piola is girl. Piorum is the boy. Amat is loves. So this is singular noun. This is for a boy, for a girl, and for here the suffix, the suffix l and and t, at, they tell us that they are subject. They are a boy, a singular boy, a singular girl, and the verb. So you can see that we have changed them in different orders, and even then the meaning of the sentence remains the same. The subject remains, the girl remains the subject, the boy remains the object, and the verbs remain the verbs. It does not change the meaning of the sentence. The meaning remains constant. In the sentence, my dog is playing in the yard. So this is a sentence. If we are talking about phrases that in this we talk about phrases in syntax, but the phrases has to be made with certain sense. My dog is playing in the yard. So in this sentence, we have is playing as a verb phrase, but we cannot make playing in as a phrase. It does not make a phrase. So when we look at this, we look at sentences, we see that the phrases must make sense. They should be related to each other. We know that my dog is a phrase, is playing is a phrase, and in the yard is a phrase. They are related in a grammatical linkage, but we know that each phrase has a certain linkage within it, a relationship within it. It is not randomly linked with other words. The study of syntax also indicates the investigation of the relation among sentences that are similar, such as John saw Mary and Mary was seen by John. Syntax received much attention after 1957 when the American linguist Noam Chomsky proposed a radically new theory of language we have talked about, that is transformational grammar. So we have tried to see that the word syntax, which we've been talking about, the arrangement for words, phrases, has something more than that. It involves processes, principles, set of rules, right? So it is more elaborative or complicated than we have been talking before.